Welcome, everybody, to our Forum 2 Tackling Matricula and the Status Animarum. And I thank you also for being members of our SGSI supporting us. I'm Rose Marie, and I was a former president of the Society, and now I'm serving on the board of directors. The information I'll be sharing with you on this forum is from my own experience. However, a lot of it can still be found on our website, so if you get stuck someplace, you can always check our website. We're going to start with Matricula number, on slide number 1 with Matricula, and it's an official record of the person's name and birth date, that sort of thing. These records are official records by both the civil authorities and the church authorities. And they have to be at least 100 years old before they are made public. The Status Animarum to the right is an unofficial record. It's a book that's basically a census kept by the priests that lists some of the same things found in our U.S. censuses: the location, the family names, etc. It's considered unofficial, meaning that it isn't used for any purpose other than to have a record of the families living in the diocese. What you see on the screen now on the right, the Popus Status Animarum in Latin, is really not a book. It's just a booklet that the Ljubljana archives gave to us that list only those churches that have Status Animatums. The question is, don't all churches have a Status Animatum? If they do, or if they did, they don't have them now. The question is then, for several reasons, including they're being destroyed in wars, being lost, or having not been turned over to the archives by the priests. Let's begin with Matricula. This is the home page of Matricula. The email address is at the top, but I've also given you a list of the contact things throughout the program at the end of the forum. I keep the language in Slovenian. You can change it to English, but I'll tell you why in a minute, that to me, it's better to keep it in Slovenian. But to translate the Slovenian words that come after Matricula online, the archival fonds, it just means the collection of family names. The Zemljovid is a collection of maps, and the Ishki po kraju is the location of the diocese. This is the most important thing at this point for you to try to remember, because we're going to use it in a couple of more slides. But as you look at this home page here, you see the map of Slovenia, and then the red little marks on it. Those are the maps, and as you press on them, they get smaller and smaller. And hopefully, I think sometimes you can get the diocese from this. On the right are the 3 archives that are at the archives, that the 3 archives in Slovenia. And you'll notice that Maribor has 257 dioceses. The Ljubljana archives has 268, but the Skopje, the Koper archives actually have only 116, because all of their records have not yet been uploaded. The records are only uploaded for the diocese whose first letter begins with an A through P. And if your ancestors are from the Koper archives, you have to check periodically to see if the remainder of the diocese have been uploaded. In the Matricula, there are 5 languages that are used: Latin up until the 1770s, German from 1751 to the 1870s, Slovenian from the 1880s to present, as well as Italian and Hungarian. You will probably be dealing mostly with the 1880s to the present, but as you go back, you're going to get involved in the German, which is the most difficult. all of these dates are approximate, but they do represent a time period when the priest changed over from one language to the other. What do you need before you even start looking in the Matricula? You need to know the name of the person, the surname and the given name, the date of birth, the location of the birth, the diocese, and the archives. If you're in doubt on any of the information for the first three, please give us a call, or we're here to help you and can possibly find maybe the place that the person was born. This seems to be the most difficult of the things for you to find when you first start with the genealogy. On the next page, we have the map of Slovenia with the archives marked. On the left side, the Primorska area, that's the Koper archives. And they're separated pretty much by the mountains and the large hills as you go south. The middle part, Gorenska, Dolenska, and Notranska, are the area regions of Slovenia. And they are, all information from those dioceses are in Ljubljana. To the right, you have the largest physical area, most likely, because you're dealing with Steyerska, Koroška, and Prekmurje, and those records are in Maribor. But you need to know this. You need to know where your town actually is before you can start looking in the Matricula. Okay, the next slide. This is the top part is the Matricula homepage, the Matricula online, where I explained what the three Slovenian headings were at the top. And it's the last one that you're going to click on to find the diocese that your family is from. I've chosen to use Dobrovica. And when I type that in, or when you type it in, leave the Katara Koli just the way it is, and you will see that there are actually two results for Dobrovica. The blue letters at the left-hand side are actually the diocese, and at the end of that, you have the name of the archives that they belong to. So this is how you can figure out how your diocese can be found. The second one is also another area where there is a Dobrovica. And if you have difficulty determining which Dobrovica is your Dobrovica, you can go into each one of them to see where the birth date can be found, and that will be the one that you will be looking for. Again, the first item in blue after number 1 is the diocese, and the last item, they call these hits or the results, is the archive of Ljubljana. Be aware, though, or I should say beware, if search not successful appears when keying in your village name in Matricula to find the diocese, you've either misspelled the town or the village name, the village is too small, or the name of one of the 3 letters in the Slovenian alphabet requires a strežica. That's the hat check that goes over the C, the S, or the Z. And that allows you, that means that then you have to put the Slovenian alphabet either on your computer, or there are different ways to do that. And depending upon your computer, you'll have to figure out which one. On our website, you will be able to, they'll give you directions on how to do that. Let's go back to the last one. If for some reason the town that or the diocese you're looking for is too small, the easiest and least stressful thing to do for you is to give us a call or to use our website's research request form. and ask us to help you get the name of the diocese. We have the names for all the dioceses in both Ljubljana archives and the Maribor archives, but not the Koper archives. So when you're dealing with Koper, you have to actually text the Koper archives, and I'll give you that address at the end of this presentation. Okay, number 8 now. Okay, if you recall, in the example to find Dobrovica, Ig was located in the Ljubljana archives. But before we do this, as you look at the archives from Ljubljana, on this page, you will see again the letters for the mapping, if you want to do that. And then beginning with the first diocese, Adolish, whatever it is first, but it goes alphabetical throughout. But I want you to go to the next slide to show you that Ljubljana, if you're looking for your family in any of the Ljubljana main area or the suburbs, you have actually 12, only 11 fit on here, or 10. So, but the one I want to bring to your attention is the first one, the one that says, go back. Okay, the one that says Bolnica, because that means the hospital. Well, why would they have a separate listing for the hospital in Ljubljana for the births of their families? This hospital took in the ladies who were not married. So all the illegitimate children, not all of them, but many of the legitimate children are not listed in the church records at the church, but because the mothers went to Ljubljana to have their children. So this is one area where you'll want to look if you can't find the birth record of your family. It's just a clue to let you know that there is another area that you can find birth records. Also on this page that gives you the diocese, there are, let me see, in the IG, they do list all the churches in that diocese. And you may be tempted to write to the priest at the given church, which you can do, but oftentimes you will not get a reply because they're very busy. Many of them now don't have just one church to have their services. They're given a lot of churches, and a lot of times the priests don't know the English language well enough. So good luck if you want to write to the priest, but oftentimes it just doesn't work. All right, and you will find a listing of the other villages. This is important because most of the time, if the people were married in Slovenia, they will have been from a nearby village. They also have the old names of the village, and in the ship's manifest many times. In this case, Ig is spelled IGG, or at one time was known as Studens. But the people were actually, when they came over in the early 1900s, they might say they're from Rudolfsburg. Well, what is that? There's no Rudolfsburg. Well, that actually means Novo Mesto. So if you were looking in that particular diocese, you would see that the old name for Novo Mesto would be the Rudolfsburg. Okay. You'll find a listing here of the number of books. That 41 indicates the number of books in the Ig parish. But the Ali at the bottom lists all the things that you're going to find, and I will illustrate this with the next slide. The Krishna Kniga and the DVOJ just means that it's a duplicate book that you can find in the Matricula. And Taufbuch is the German word for the birth book. Actually, it's a christening and a birth book, so you get both of this information when you're in the area that's looking for the births. There's also a book, not in all the parish, but it's just most of them, that's an index. And you can actually find your person's birth. It will give their name under A, B, C, D, and with that, it'll give you the page number in the matricula to go to find your information. However, the number of the page isn't always the same number that's on the matricula side where you have to choose the pages as you go along. So make sure you check the page numbers in the matricula. I can tell you they won't be the same. You usually are a little bit ahead of them. So just make sure that you get the right page. The next one is the Merlishka Kniega and the Merlishka Index. This is the death records. And the last one is the Porochna, the marriage records. Okay. On the birth records, this is just shows you, and this actually comes from our website. And no matter what language you're dealing with, the form is basically the same, where on the birth records, the dates of birth and baptism are the first things that are listed on the left side in the first big column. Most times the children were born and baptized on the same day, but other times they're not. And it's not unusual for your ancestors, when they came to America, to have used their baptismal date rather than their birth date as their birth date. It happened to myself with my maternal grandmother. She has on her tombstone what the family put was September 8th, and here it's really September 4th, which happens to be a birth of my daughter the same day. And when we found that out in the archives many years ago in Ljubljana, it was really quite emotional. All right, the next column is the column for the village and the house number. In this case, these villages, I think, are written in the German script, so they're not that difficult to figure out, but it's not as easy as if it's in Slovenian. The next column, though, is very, very important, and that's the house number. The house numbers in these books will always stay the same. So if sometimes you're looking for something and you're just looking for the name, it's a lot easier if you can just scroll through the page and look at the house numbers and make sure if you see a house number, like in this case, 12, you know that it's the house number of your family. However, double check the column before, because it could be a different village. The next big column is the name of the child, and the next three columns each has two entries. The first entry has to do with whether you're Catholic or another religion. The second two lines deal with whether you're a girl or a boy, your gender, and the third column tells you whether your ancestor was born legitimately or illegitimately. The parents are listed in the next column as the father and the mother, then the godparents in the next big column. The second to the last column is the midwife or whoever delivered the child. And then the next column, the last one not marked, would be the priest. This is a closer look of a birth record. You'll notice that the year is written in at the top of the page there. And usually the page numbers are handwritten. The page numbers in this particular book are written by hand up in the further left-hand corner, but I don't see that on this one. But here, this person was born on the 27th of March, baptized on the 27th, from this town of Tomasic. House number 4, the name is Maria. She's Catholic. She is a girl, and she's born legitimate. That's the left side of the page. On the right side of the page, you have the name of the father, and underneath you see a half and that's a hubler. That's actually the amount of property that he owns, which equates to about 5.5 acres, but not 5.5 acres like we would know it, all in one piece. You might have 10 parcels all around the village, one used to build a house, one used to plant oats, one used for a regular garden, that kind of thing. They're all coded. Next, you have the mom's name. The next one is the father, the parents of the bride, and that's not right. The next one is the godparents. Yes, thank you. It's the woman and the man who are the godparents, and they actually have to say their half, their property that they own, because if anything happens to the parents, the church wants to know that they're giving the children to a responsible couple. The second to the last one, where it says Mary Meglich, she was the midwife or the person who delivered the baby. And then in the last column, you have the priest's notes or his name. On the next slide, we have the marriage book. And again, you have the date, you have the groom's name and age, you have the bride's address, name, and age, you have the parents of the groom, the parents of the bride, and the witnesses. However, the second to the last column from the right, there's usually a lot of room left for it. And that's almost always in a language that you don't understand. But it will tell it'll give the record where the father had his christening, and the mother, the bride, not the father, the groom and the bride, where they had their christenings. If they're 25 years and younger, they had to have permission from the parents to marry. Those are the kinds of that's the kinds of information that you find there. And then the last column is the priest. Again, this is just a closer up look here. In this case, Jacob was 23 years old and Maria was 18 years old. He owned a half hubler, or a half, starts with the Z, it means the same thing, a half a hubler, and she owns the half on the other side, on the right side. You will find the parents of the groom, the parents of the bride, and the third column over would be the godparents. No, not the godparents, the witnesses. Okay, you got me there. All right, and then the same, all the information that I mentioned before. The next record is the death record, the date of death and burial, the village and the house number again, the name of the person, the age, the cause of death, and the priest's name. On the left side again, in this case, the person died March 31st, and April the 2nd he was buried. And he was from Bisoko, house number 12. His name was Matiash Kalashar. He owned a half a zemle. And on the right side, you have whether he was Catholic, and I'm not sure what that next one is. And then how old he was, only 4.5 years old. Died of whatever that disease is, and the priest's name at the end. Now we get to the part that probably is the most challenging for any genealogist, and that's the German Gothic script. It was accepted throughout Europe until the 1500s. Then it was abandoned, except for Germany. They kept it until 1942. And I call it the Gothic script, but there were actually 4 to 8 different alphabets during that time period. So a lot of sub-variations were developed, and they're almost impossible to decipher. If you go to our website, it'll tell you how to join our Facebook group, which is a private group. And if you put the information in there according to what you will find on our website as subjects to click on, you'll get down to need help in reading and deciphering a church book. And if you follow those directions and put it on Facebook, you might get somebody from Facebook who is able to decipher that for you. Another place would be genealogy, Slovenian Genealogy 2000. I believe that too, they do that too. But if none of those works, then you can always get a professional genealogist. Of course, they will charge a fee. And we do have a list of professional genealogists on our website. I have an exercise here that you might want to try. And it's a website at the top that you can type in, and then you'll get a lot more information than just this spot that I told you. But you can write in or type in there the name of your ancestor in English, and then it will actually translate that for you into one of the forms of the Gothic German. So in this case, the Maria, that's pretty easy to read, Marija. But Plesteniak, it's a lot more challenging, is what I would say. Know that, well, you already know how hard it is to do this, but if you need help, give us a call. But we have nobody on our staff who is able to do this. The last thing that I want to talk about, or the second thing in this business of trying to find things to assist you, is the book that we call the Status Animarum. Again, it's unofficial, but it was a census kept by the priest for each house, and it lists all the people born in that house by generation. It is available only at any of the 3 archives, possibly at the church, but because sometimes the priest kept duplicate copies. But only 173 of the 268 dioceses in the Ljubljana archives actually have status animatums. Now, again, we have availability of the status animatums only for the Ljubljana archives. Other than that, you will have to contact Maribor and Koper to find the actual, to see if they actually have the status animatums. What do you need to know before you look in the status animatum? You need to know the diocese, the village and the town, the house number, and the surname. This is a copy of one of the pages out of a status animatum. At the top, it lists the village and I guess that I didn't check that out, but it must be the diocese. In the left column, under the name, you have the name of the gentleman, the father of the home. And the next name is the name of his wife, and then the children follow that. The conditio, I guess it is would be just some certain notes about them. This, in Johannes's case, this is his second marriage, and where he was located, where he was born, what day he was born, and the month he was born, and the year he was born. Now, you notice that they don't actually put a 1 all the time, in this case, before 1844. You'll see like just a little mark. That means that it's a 1, and that he was born, is that what it is? And yeah, I don't know, 1844. And it's that's his first wife, I think, that was born in 1846. Then again, the next 6 big column, but with the 6 things, this has whether their church records, whether they were married, when they had their baptism, that kind of thing. And then all these other little things are the yearly census that they took as to whether they completed their like going to church and that kind of thing. Next. If you want to purchase certificates, birth, marriage, death, and also the status animarum report, you need to do that through each of the archives. And I've given you the name of the archives and the website address to reach them. The cost for the Ljubljana archives material, they raised the price from 7 to 10 euros for the birth, marriage, and death records. For the status animatum, you can get a digital copy, that is an exact copy of what you see in the book, for 3 to 5 euros. But if you want them to type up a complete family history that's written on that page, it will cost you 25 euros. Again, I don't know what the cost would be at the others at this point. Okay. Here's a list of contact information for the different places that I suggested that you look if you need additional information, and I've included our phone number. So at this point, what I'd like to do now is, if you have questions, this is the question and answer period, and you can type them up and then we'll read them off. Nick, okay?
One of the questions is, Paula from Toledo asked, where are the archives?
Well, Koper archives are in Koper, the Ljubljana archives are in Ljubljana, and the Maribor are in Maribor. They will be, you would just have to get the address. You can get that off the internet. And I'm presuming that's what you mean. Downtown Ljubljana, it's very convenient to the downtown area if you're visiting there. Next one.
So you have a question here. If you want to read the question and then answer it.
You can read it.
All right. So the question is, who do these people get to read what's in Matricula? Can SGSI do this if they get the original birth certificate?
Can you read the birth certificate, you mean? If that's so, we can read them, yes. Not a problem.
The question is, who do these people get to read in the Matricula? And can you guys do this?
Oh, well, we can do it for you. You just have to get in touch with us. Give us a call. Not either call us or email us with the research form that's on our website for and ask what we can do. We'll find out what we can do to help you. Any other questions?
Yes. Another question is, I am traveling to Slovenia in early March to meet my second cousin for the first time. Will I be able to copy pages that I find? Will I be able to copy pages that I find in the parish church?
I'm not sure that you'll be able to get into the church because a lot of times, like I said, the priests have several different churches that they have to serve. Would you put that back up again so that yeah, okay. Will you be able to, yeah, and yes, you can take pictures of the pages from the Matricula. At the Ljubljana archives, I know you just let them know that you're taking pictures, and I think sometimes they used to charge 10 cents a picture, but I'm not sure that they do that anymore. But you should be able to do that. Okay, the next question.
So the next question is, I think beginners should look up in Matricula. Okay, I think that was more of a solution for someone. Here we go. So Joanne Livinggood says, my family is from Coastal and
Costel, yeah, and Rashelia. Okay.
I
They're
was
in,
not able to find the Farah parish in the Ljubljana archives. Do you know if Farah is one that is not in the archives?
I can tell you that we'd have to check with our book, but we can find you the diocese for both Costel and Rashelia, which is yeah, it's no problem for us. We have that information at the research center. So Joanne, just give us a call and we'll, or else submit a research question and we'll get back to you.
And then another question, did I understand correctly that SGSI has copies of all the Ljubljana status animarums?
Animarums. Oh, we only wish we did, but no, we just have the information that says that there will be or that there is a status animarum at the archives. So you, like I said, you have to write to the archives to tell them. In Ljubljana, we can tell you which archives has it. So you just have to figure out which book it is that you want, and we can send you all of the information about the archives. The archives, not the archives, the status animatums. In some parishes, there might be only 2 books. In other parishes, there might be 15 books. So you have to figure out which book it is that your information will be in by they list the villages and the years for each of the books. And if you don't, the people at the archives will know which one to look in for you. Next.
Bill asks, are there any chance these will be indexed for the future?
I don't believe so. When you're talking about the records, the matricula and all that, I would say no, no. Yeah, Joanne, I know that they're in the Farah parish, but it would be good if you could send us the request so we don't overlook it. Okay? Yes. Okay. For Joanne, if you go to the matricula and search the map, you can see the parish closest to your village. When you search Costel, it brings up a Fara Pro Koschevier. Okay, you can do it that way too. Sometimes, though, those maps don't show the correct diocese. And if that happens, and you know it's in the Ljubljana or the Maribor archives, we can check that out for you. Okay. I don't know why, Joanne, that the archives couldn't get you the material that you were looking for. That I can't answer. Anything else? Oh, that's the end? Okay, I can't believe that it went so quickly. I know it's just a very, very difficult thing for us to deal with. It's only 3 years old. You remember that before we had this on the internet, you had to go to Slovenia to find it. I mean, there was no other way. And now that it's here, we're happy it's here, but it's difficult with the language situation, and the reading the German script is especially difficult. If you go back all the way, if you want to get the pedigree back as far as you can go, you're going to be looking at paragraphs in Latin. They're actually a little bit easier to translate than the German Gothic for sure, but it's not an easy task. I think someone said the last time that we had the forum that Slovenian Genealogy 2000, if you put your information on there, I think it might be a Facebook also, that they can do that, and there's probably no charge for that. Anything else? I'm sorry that we had the difficulty with the computer here. I think it's my computer that was the culprit. But I'd like to thank Nick here, who is with the Creme Global. He has a studio and lets us use it for this purpose, and I thank him very much. Anything else at all?
Thank you. Great job.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.